What is up, you guys? Welcome back to Me and TV Reviews. I am your host, Mo, and tonight, y'all, we are going to be discussing one of my favorite shows that has just came back on the scene. Y'all, this is Will Trent. This is season 3, episode 1, titled "I'm Just a Guest." I hope you guys have had a wonderful week thus far. Y'all, how are we starting off 2025? What is happening? Y'all, prayers up to everybody in LA, in California. Just prayers up, y'all. Prayers up for the firefighters who are working around the clock to get the wildfires under control, which they still haven't been able to do just yet. Prayers up to the people that have lost their homes and now have to go find somewhere to stay. Prayers up to the already unhoused people. Y'all, just prayers up. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead, get into the synopsis real quick, and I'm going to get right into the episode. So the synopsis for this one is: when two off-duty cops are wounded, the GBI must track down Special Agent Will Trent, who recently fled to help solve this case. As the investigation unfolds, Will is drawn into his past to clear a friend's name amid rivalries and corruption. Now, we'll go ahead and give you guys this disclaimer. This is a two-parter. Okay. So if you're just listening to the reviews and not necessarily looking at it anywhere, this is a two-parter. So there is not going to be a clear resolution by the end of this. This is a to be continued. All right. So we're just gonna roll with the punches and go with it. So we begin the episode with Ormwood. He's at a party with his kids for the department. Now, everybody seems to be having a great time. It's a barbecue happening. People are in the pool. Max is macking on some girl that he doesn't want his dad to meet, and mess up his groove. And so as soon as Ormwood tried to go talk to her, or talk to them, he was like, no bye. So since Captain Cromwell is manning the grill, he sends Robbie and Chester, who are other members of the department, to go make an ice run. And so as they're walking to the car, they peep this other red car that's kind of just like standing out, because there are people in the car, but they're not necessarily doing anything. They're just kind of like looking at each other. And so Chester and Robbie decide to go over to see what's up with them, right? Make sure they good, check their temp. And as we see them walk over, the camera pans away from them and goes back to the party, but then we hear gunshots go off. So, of course, the first priority for the people at the party is to make sure that everybody in their eyesight is okay and to get them to safety. Now, when they do that, of course, they run outside to find Robbie and Chester laid out on the ground. Y'all, Chester done transitioned to the upper room. He is gone. Okay? They do try CPR on him, but he gone, y'all. But Robbie got hit in the shoulder once. But Chester got ate up. Do you hear me? So it's just a very sad situation. Of course, everybody now is on high alert. They're very emotional. The boys in blue, their brothers in blue, have been taken out or have been wounded. And so the top priority for them is to make sure that they get whoever's responsible for this. Now, a press conference is held, and we find out that the APD and the GBI will be working together to help solve this case. Post-conference, though, tempers flare behind the scenes because Captain Cromwell is very upset at the Mayor Anthony. One of her major talking points apparently during her campaign run was defunding the police. Now, they have evidence, but they don't have enough to pin this on anyone in particular just yet, although they do believe that this is gang-related because the people who were spotted at the scene were seen wearing specific colors that were associated with a certain gang. Now, with Chester being specifically targeted, seeing as how he worked the gang unit, he was hit 6 times, y'all, in contrast to Robbie, like I said, who was only struck once. It just seems pretty fishy. Okay, clearly Chester was the target. So they tell Captain to hold off on his suspicions, but Cap was like, yeah, that's my guy. I'm a ride for him. It's too late. He done already sent some cars over there just to observe and keep an eye on, in heavy quotations, who he believes to be their prime suspect. Now, his name is Raphael Wexford. Now, Faith arrives to find Atlanta SWAT outside this man's house, y'all. So she throws a phone through the window to try to talk to him, but all he wants to know is, where is Will Trent? Because he's the only person that I want to talk to. But there's a problem with that request because she has no idea where he is. As a matter of fact, nobody knows where he is. Turns out, y'all, Will is actually in a cute, small, little quaint town in my neck of the woods in Tennessee. He looks well rested and relaxed. He looks good, y'all. He even got that little 5 o'clock shadow, little beard growing in. He looks good. And he's working as a PI. And so we see him get up early that morning and go through his morning routine. He works out. He feeds Betty. They go for a walk. He go get his coffee. And then next thing you know, we see him taking pictures of a client's cheating husband as the mailman, Sammy, and a neighbor, Sally. Look, they all looking at this couple get it on. Because apparently they don't believe in closing blinds or, closing curtains or nothing like that. They like to live on the wild side, okay? They like the exhibitionism of it all. Is that even a word? Anywho. They're exhibitionists. And so clearly after they've been discovered, y'all, they try to hurry up and close up the situation. But baby, he got all the proof that he needs. It's too late. Now, Sally invites Will to dinner at the diner, but he makes up an excuse that he's, got something to do at his house. Now, even mailman Sammy knows that Will loves his privacy, so she wasn't going to get him out, but she figured that she would try because he seems lonely, But that's going to be invaded. All that privacy, that's going out the window. Because when he gets back home, he does a little bit more working on something actually there when Amanda pops up. And of course, she's snapping off on him because he up and disappeared some months ago without telling anybody where he went to. But she tells him that it's time to come home. But let him tell her he is at home. Now, he figures that she's only come by because she needs favor, which is true. But she wanted to also give him some much needed space. Now, he explains that he hasn't talked to Angie, but he did what had to be done because Crystal's mom was finna get ready to sue the department for everything that had happened. Now, I don't even remember what happened last season, but I do feel like with him saying that in context, I'm going to assume that Crystal ended up knocking herself off. Now, I know she had took that guy out. She killed him because he was trying to groom her, right? But he was supposed to be going with her mom, like be trying to marry her mom. But instead, he was like trying to groom her. And so she ended up like taking him out. But Angie, because he had did the same thing to Angie when she was a child, she knew what time it was. And so she came over there. Unfortunately, she tried to prevent all of this from happening, but it happened anyway. And so she took the blame for it. And she told Crystal to try to figure her life out. So, yeah. So anyway, he said that he did what he had to do to try to keep the department from getting sued. And he needed to reset. But when she tells him about Raphael, I'm going to call him Ralphie, y'all. About Ralphie asking for him specifically after 2 officers were hit, he agrees to come back and work the case. Now, elsewhere in some very ritzy-to-do neighborhood, Angie is working as security there. But it's more like playing mama to a bunch of spoiled little entitled grown children. Because, y'all, she done had to go over there and break up an argument about which golden doodle pooped in the neighbor's yard. Yeah. She literally had to bag the poop so she could run tests on it to see which dog was responsible for the poop in the yard. Don't ask. Now, Franklin comes to see her. And we know, that's her sponsor. And so he just wanted to check and see how everything was going with her. And she's getting ready to try to come back to the department. She's got to do one interview, though. She's got to pass one interview, and then I believe she should be able to come back. Now, Franklin also comes to tell her that Will is back and he's working the case, which she seems to pretend to be okay with. She knew this was going to happen eventually. Maybe they will or they won't run into each other. They'll figure it out. Okay, there is still a lot of hurt feelings between the two of them because she never thought that he would turn her in. And he is very by the book. So, yeah, don't do no crimes around him. Speaking of, y'all, he arrives on the scene, and like Amanda, Faith is pissed, okay? But I'm sure she's quietly relieved to see that he's okay. And he lets her new partner take Betty while they argue about him putting on his bulletproof vest to go inside to try to talk to Raphael. Now, he decides against this bulletproof vest because he's got a good enough relationship to feel comfortable to walk in without one. But he tells Faith that he knows the layout of the house when she tried to describe it to him because he used to live there for a short period of time. But he does not divulge any type of details to her about how he lived with them. Now, when he walks in, he initially doesn't see anybody, but he hears a gun click behind him. And so he quickly turns around and disarms Raphael after they talk some much needed trash to each other. Now, he gives Will a wet willy like when they were younger, and they fight, y'all. Like, they're breaking tables. This is like they wrestling around the house, okay? Just breaking everything. Y'all, the music is blaring. Can't nobody hear what's going on inside the house because if they could, y'all, Raphael might not even be here, okay? That's how much noise they was making. And so they're fighting, that is, until Miss Pearl walks in. Now, Miss Pearl is Ralphie's grandma. But, she remembers Will when he was living there. And so she's hard of hearing at this point, and she ain't heard none of the commotion. But she sure is glad to see her sweet Will. Now, she calls him Sunshine, and so he was like, no, it's me, Will. And so she's like, oh, hey, baby, And so they sit down and they watch TV for a little while until she falls asleep. And Ralphie obviously denies any claims that he'd be so reckless as to have his crew go knock off a cop in the middle of a barbecue in broad daylight. Who does that? And so he believes that he's being set up by his gang rival, Lincoln, who's over the Grover Park boys. Yeah, I think that's right. Grover Park boys. Something like that, y'all. Okay. The rival gang. So he ends up telling Will about a year ago, Lincoln actually wanted to do a little merging. Okay. It's all the trend these days, but he wasn't with it. So now he believes this is his get back for leaving his homeboy Lincoln hanging. And so he reminds Will that at one point he did him a huge solid so that he could go on to live his life of peace and be who he was destined to be. And you can tell that he got a little emotional behind this next sentence because they never spoke after he did whatever favor it was for him. But he tells Will that he owes it to him to clear his name. And so Will agrees to help him. Now, when he steps outside, he tells them Ralphie and his crew are innocent and who they really need to look into. And so after he helps them with this case, he says that he's going back home to Tennessee. And Amanda was like, well, we better hurry up because time's a ticking. So they head to the office where everybody is giving Will all of these awful looks, y'all. Faith she's taken his old office. And so while she wants to ensure, he's mentally in a good space, she's still upset with him enough to throw a stapler at him. He needed to reset, okay? But it's still not enough. So she says that her and Ormwood will go talk to Lincoln while Will and Agent Gross, who is her new partner, they can go make themselves useful and track down the partial plate to the car that was used in the commission of this crime. Now, Will hangs back and uses Eduardo, who is like his Hispanic Alexa for his phone, or his Hispanic Siri, to help him track the car to a towing company. Now, while he's looking that up, Agent Gross mentions how the car they're looking into has been at the center of several carjackings as of late because, it's one of those where you can just pop like one of those USBs into it after you break into it and then you can steal the car. Sort of similar to what was happening in real time with the Kias, right? You remember, well, that's still a thing where a lot of the Kias are still getting stolen and abandoned because all you have to do is through the USB. I think they're fixing it now, but still, that's what was going on. So Faith and Ormwood are waiting in her hot car because her AC isn't working at this time when Lincoln finally arrives to the gang's headquarters. So she suggests that she goes in by herself since her and Lincoln have built up a slight rapport over the last couple of years, which consists of her arresting him like 3 times. With one of those times being her having to hold him in her custody for over 3 hours in her car. So let her do this. So while she goes inside, Ormwood actually goes around back and he catches 2 guys suspiciously covering up a car. And so after they hurry up and get into another car to drive away, he goes to where they just left to check it out and see what they were doing. Now, when he goes over there, he finds multiple cars. He finds multiples of the one car that's been in the news for the carjackings lately, okay? But they're all in different colors. Now, inside, Faith is talking to Lincoln, and he doesn't really cop to anything. He plays stupid like he doesn't know what's going on, but he looks country fashionable. Like he finna get ready to go to church or something, and it's close to Easter. So she was trying to help him with his form because they were practicing teeing off with golf, right? And so she was supposed to be trying to give him some pointers to help him with his tee. But he got up right behind her, y'all, and he grabbed her waist. And she ended up using her golf club to hit him in the kneecap after she stepped on his foot. I was like, yes, Faith, come on. You better protect yourself. Now, elsewhere in Atlanta, Will happens to come across a car that resembles the one at the crime scene, right? So for whatever reason, and I'm assuming it's just because he been out the game for a few months, he don't use no type of gloves to open that door, y'all. No gloves. But he does use some to grab the USB jump drive that's sticking out of the ignition when somebody else comes up to the side of the car pointing a gun at him. Y'all, either he's getting stuff thrown at him or he's getting guns pointed at him. That's the name of the game for this episode. So this guy happens to be the owner of the car. Now, he said that his car was stolen the other day, but when he went to go tell the police about it, they weren't too helpful and optimistic about helping him find his car. And so he took matters into his own hands. He did what he had to do. He did what he had to do to try to get his car back. I'm not sure how expensive that car is, but I mean, it looks like it's of an upper caliber. So he said that he was actually able to locate his car by tracking a tablet that he had accidentally left under the seat in the car. Now, Will quickly disarms him because we can clearly tell that he wasn't finna hurt nobody. That was just a prop for him. And he also takes the tablet to kind of see if it has any of the other previous locations on it before the car was abandoned here. So he takes all of that back to the office, and they discuss the discovery of cars behind their gang's building and the jump drive containing the virus that was needed to steal the cars in the first place, right? And so as him and Faith are talking, Ormwood is getting chewed out by Chester's wife because she thinks that he's covering for Chester and his shenanigans. Now, even though Chester claimed to not have any kids when they got married not too long ago, she was just informed of 3 educational IRAs in the amount of $10,000 each that was set up by him before he passed for 3 children that ain't his, supposedly. So Ormwood goes to see Angie to see if she knows anything about it, but she never really pegged Chester as the type of guy to do something like that, to be creeping around, right? But who really knows anybody? So we find out that she stayed out of jail because she had a judge who was pretty lenient on her and her situation. So, she was this close to getting that felony pinned on her, but thank goodness, right? So I'm not sure if she just got charged with a misdemeanor or what. And so he brings up her sobriety and wonders how she stays clean and sober. And she reveals that she never got high to relax or have a good time. You know, she did it to forget things oftentimes. That was her main motive for being an addict, right? And she just doesn't want to forget Crystal. Because even if she does get high for that night, she'll wake up and she'll remember it all over again. So she doesn't want to do that. Now Will comes back home and sees how Nico has jazzed up the place. And when she comes out, y'all, I'm thinking that she finna get ready to give Will a big old hug. But no, she's pissed at him too. And she ends up grabbing Betty from him and telling Betty that she's safe now. Betty's going to be staying with her in the bedroom, and finds something to throw at him like everybody else has this entire episode. That is 3 items. I think she threw a pack of noodles at him. So she says that she's moved on since he up and left her. And so she's going to sleep in his old room while he takes the garage. And so as he sits at the table, the memory of him and Angie working on said table comes flooding back like it was just yesterday. Maybe it is time for him to come back. Now everyone regroups at the office where Amanda reminds them that SWAT is still sitting outside Ralphie's home in 100-degree weather, and so they need to come up with a resolution fast. Now Ormwood rushes in to grab Faith. It seems that he was able to find Chester's side piece, leaving Will with Agent Gross again, who has also stumbled upon a lead himself. Apparently, when he was going through Chester's locker, y'all, he found a burner phone. And according to a phone call that he just received, he's supposed to be meeting somebody, him being Chester, at Mexican Mixtape. Now, that's a great concept for a restaurant. So they done named all of these dishes after, Atlanta rap artists, which is amazing. And so, anywho, Will goes there and he's looking at the menu and he's getting Eduardo to help him because y'all know my homeboy Will got dyslexia, right? And so Eduardo helps him clarify a lot of stuff sometimes. Now, as he's looking at the menu, another woman comes in and already she seems slightly agitated and in a rush. And so she's clearly waiting for someone. She keeps looking around and all of that. And so Will finally asked her, "Hey, are you waiting for somebody?" Now, she says yes, but she has no idea who she's supposed to be meeting with. All she knows is that it's a cop. And Will definitely doesn't look the part. But he looks good, y'all. And so she introduces herself as a district attorney for Fulton County. I think she said her name was Marion. And so she reveals that she was in talks with Chester about an immunity deal that he has struck up in exchange for him getting something off his chest. Now, she's not sure what that something is, but he was supposed to be telling her. Apparently, he was on payroll for the Grove Park Boys, and so he had seen some things that he wants to clear off his conscience. And so it seems like maybe even a cop at this point might have taken him out, y'all, because if it wasn't one of Lincoln's boys, then who else would it be? And what are you trying to clear up? What are you trying to get off your conscience? Okay? The thugs gonna be thugging out here. No offense to the thugs, but the thugs gonna be thugging. So that's kind of expected of them. But you trying to clear something off your conscience versus you just locking a thug up and taking them to jail. Yeah, this seems like cop on cop. So they need to hurry up because news just broke that Ralphie has surrendered and copped to both shootings. Now, Will says that he knows he's innocent because he's not that type of person. And Will reveals that when he aged out of the foster care system, Ralphie was the only person to give him a place to stay until he got on his feet. And so he's got to hurry up if he's going to try to save his friend. Now, Will goes to visit him in jail, and he's not sure why he confessed to something like this. It just doesn't make any sense. And so Ralphie, again, tearfully tells him to make it make sense then. Okay? I know you can do it. I got faith in you. So make it make sense. Now, he arrives back at the office to see the press conference the mayor is having on TV. It's then revealed that those kids, Chester, it's then revealed that the kids that they thought were Chester's, those were not his kids, y'all, at all. He just created those accounts because apparently he witnessed their father get killed in an accident. And he felt so emotionally overwhelmed and moved to create these accounts for his 3 children that he left behind. He was also able to get 15,000 additional dollars in donations from other sources like GoFundMe and crowdsourcing. And so we know that the APD ain't spending that type of money. They not spreading the wealth around like that. So where did the money come from? Now, Will asked Marion to stall the case as much as she can while they try to go to Ralphie's house to see if they can find something to prove his innocence. So they head to his house and they split up. Now, again, they're not sure what they're looking for, but Will has a second to truly think things through, and he remembers Miss Pearl calling him Sunshine when she first saw him, right? And so he also remembers the friendship bracelet that Ralphie had on his wrist, which makes him think of a little kid, right? And so he goes to the door frame. You know, when we were little, when our parents would mark our age and our height each year. Yeah. Now, we didn't do that every year, y'all, but apparently Miss Pearl and them did. And so they had been writing the name Sonny on the door frame. And Sonny happens to be 12 years old, whoever that is. Now, Faith is able to find his laptop upstairs, but it's password protected. But Will correctly guesses the password after a few tries. And the first thing that pops up on his screen is his daughter, y'all. She's been duct taped and she's been taken. And that's the way this episode ends. It's to be continued, y'all. But this is a really good start to the beginning of the season. We'll see what happens with Will and Angie. Eventually, they're going to have to run into each other. We'll see what Chester was really doing. Was Chester, he had to be in the cahoots. My thought process was, as soon as we heard that Chester had got hit 6 times and Robbie only got hit once, I'm going to assume that either Lincoln had his boys take out Chester and hit Robbie once to make it look like Robbie was also a target. But I kind of feel like the people in the car were just in the car. Maybe Robbie was sent to do the deed. Maybe that's why he offered for Chester to go along with him to make the ice run, right? And was given the orders from Captain Cromwell, because Captain Cromwell is supposed to be retiring sometime soon, but because Chester done got taken out, maybe he wants to make sure that somebody takes the rap for this before he retires so that nobody goes looking for anything, right? Yeah, so maybe Robbie took out Chester after that car had sped off, and maybe he decided to hit himself in the shoulder. But would they even test him for gunshot residue? Anywho, y'all let me know what y'all thought about it, okay? You can reach me at Me and You TV Reviews on Facebook and on Instagram. You can also reach me at My TV Reviews Podcast without the S on the end at gmail.com. I love y'all. Y'all, the world is going crazy everywhere. We got wildfires on the West Coast. We got ice and snow on the East Coast where I'm at. So if y'all are going out, please stay safe wherever you are. All right? I love y'all. Y'all stay safe out there. And until we meet over the airwaves again, I am Mo, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.